Hi guys, welcome to Settle for Three, Three for Three. Three guys, three questions, 3 minutes each. Joey, Cameron, Evan. Cameron, how are you doing?
I am absolutely wonderful. I bought a car today. How much more
Okay.
entertaining can it get on a Monday?
And tell everyone what kind of car you bought.
There's only two things I like, and that's college football and cars. Found a 2016 Mazda 3 for 3 grand. Can't go wrong for that. And yeah, it'll make a fun addition to the garage.
Evan, what car did you buy today?
Uh, I bought no cars. However, I've been hearing for the last however many years about every other day when Cameron buys a new car. What do you have to like 35 now or something that you've had?
34. Yeah, that's pretty close though.
That's
I,
ridiculous.
I
Yeah.
don't want to see what your car insurance bill is. See,
I
it's
have no accidents
ridiculous.
and no no issues on
Yeah,
there. But yeah, always having fun.
yeah, that's because
All
he
right.
hides it.
Well, we're gonna try not to have any accidents on this edition of Three for Three today. So let's jump right into question one and start the timer. Name an athlete that currently doesn't play football that could have played football either at the college level or in the NFL. Evan, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I've got Noah Lyles, who is a track athlete on the U.S. men's team. This guy is
Mm,
fast. His fastest 100-meter time is 9.83
mm.
seconds, which is only a quarter of a second slower than Usain Bolt's record that has stood for 15 years. Just imagine this guy jumping off the line and trying to be a defender to catch up with him. I mean, you would basically have to just put a defender in the end zone at all times because there's no way anybody is catching him. As long as he can catch the ball, there is no reason this guy should still be running track. He should be on every NFL team.
I don't know if you remember the '09 Gators with Jeff Demps and Chris Rainey, and both of them. I
Yep,
think Jeff Demps was on the U.S. men's national team, track and field team. So
exactly.
that's a really good
And
selection, Cam.
yeah, and well, real quick, also him and Tyreek Hill are going to
Mm.
be having a
Oh,
race coming up here pretty soon,
yeah,
so
yep,
we'll really get
yep,
to see it.
yep.
Gotta give credit to Evan. That's a good pick. All right, for mine, I wanted somebody that was insanely athletic, pretty quick, but also just would stick out beyond just physical athleticism, but in kind of every other way. If you deal with endurance, Russell Westbrook is probably going to be one of the most athletic guys that exists, and I
Mm.
think he would be really well suited to be a corner. I think seeing Russ kind of sit back, he's 6'4", has a 6'8" wingspan. I like him more at cornerback than I think I do a receiver, but I think you could have a great argument either way. He's my pick.
Huge.
I like that pick, and actually, Cam, I went kind of in that same direction. I was trying to think of NBA players that were kind of not so small, but fast and like kind of
Hmm.
quick twitch, like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry,
Yep.
Kyrie Irving. I all think they could be slot receivers or maybe like running backs in the Darren Sproles mold that catch balls out of the backfield. Imagine Giannis as your possession wide receiver down on the goal line. The dude would be unstoppable. Jalen Suggs on the Magic. He played quarterback in high school, and I think had D1 offers before he decided to go to Gonzaga. And then in baseball, I don't know if you guys follow baseball in Atlanta, but Chris Sale, last year's Cy Young winner, you don't think he could complete 10 passes throwing the ball? I mean, the dude is absolutely amazing, and he's in his upper 30s. So I did not think track and field, though. Yeah, Cam.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
We have to make one call out here to not do a great disservice to LeBron. I
None of
think
us picked him.
we universally agreed that that was the
Yeah.
easiest
Yeah.
pick there. So we were just trying to think of other athletes not named LeBron James. Hence why that wasn't the pick.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was real low hanging fruit. So we agreed not to do that. And
Correct.
shout out to my wife. She came up with this question. So, honey, if you're watching, good job. Let's move on to question number two. In your ideal college football playoff bracket, how many teams would be in? And this is in honor of March Madness coming up. So I thought it'd be fun. Like, what would be your max number of teams in your ideal bracket, Cam?
For me, I have to say no buys are a really big criteria in my bracket. In all other leagues across the world, so it doesn't matter if it's soccer, NFL, NBA, NHL, it's approximately 30 to 40% of the league that actually is in the playoff or has an opportunity to make it via wild cards or other similar type of things. For me personally, I think that 32 teams would actually be the right way to do it. I think that would provide, I know that's a lot. I think it would provide an excellent way for some of these smaller schools to be able to get in and play the big boys. If you go to 16, I think it's still just the big teams. This is personally why I want to see like a D1 and a D2, which we will see one day anyway.
Okay, Evan, before you go, we're gonna go over the 3 minutes here very briefly, but
Yeah, I got it.
Cam, you were the one that was complaining incessantly about
That's what I
the SMU's and Indiana's not belonging in the playoff, and you want 32 teams?
If we keep the NCAA currently built the way that it is with 136, 132 teams, whatever it is, yes, it has to expand. 12 teams isn't enough, 14 isn't enough, 16 isn't enough, 32 I could see an argument for, and 64 is definitely not enough. We're only adding one more round for any teams that don't get a bye, two if you were getting a bye.
So we're gonna
I
end the
think
season in
32 is the
October.
right way.
We're gonna end
All
the
right.
season October 1st.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
just kick it out.
okay.
Just kick it out to the
Evan.
Super Bowl.
Evan,
Number one, first of all, right before this, Cameron was the only one on here kind of poo-pooing on the idea of doing a 64 team bracket. You're already at 32, so I don't know what's wrong with you. And second, this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I really like the 12 team playoff. And the reason is you look at let's look at March Madness, college basketball. The only reason that enough of those guys or enough of those teams can make the tournament is because they play multiple games a week. You can't do that in football. You really can't. And if you expand it past 12 teams in the playoffs, you're just going to start running into so many injuries. I don't think any team would agree to that because then you're ruining these kids' futures if they really hurt themselves by getting tired.
I want a 10 or 11
yeah.
game season. Maybe that's a criteria to make too.
I think a more expanded playoff works if you have a shorter season. 10 or 11 games would be great. Evan, I'm kind of in the same 15, and I'm basing it off the ACC tournament that's happening this week in Charlotte. Seeds 1 through 4 get a double bye, so they only need to play 3 games to win a national championship. That's no different than it is right now. Seeds 5 through 9 get a single bye. They start in the second round in on-campus games. And seeds 10 through 15 play first round games also on campus. So with 15 teams, that allows the 4 Power 4 conference champions to get in, but they're not guaranteed a bye. And then the highest ranked group of 5 champion gets in. So that's 5 spots to champions. That leaves 10 at-large spots that are decided by a BCS-like formula maybe. So guys, I just solved college football playoff.
And so, Joey, in your bracket, you say that there are teams that have automatic bids. Evan, in your bracket, are there teams that have automatic bids?
Yeah, I don't think you really need to change as much right now. I think there needs to be some tweaking. I don't think it needs to be the college champions in a at-large team by any means. But I'm sorry, my mind is reeling at the fact that Cameron actually thinks a 32 team playoff would be a good idea.
The only way that works is like if you have seeds 12 through 32 play against each other and then have those top 12 big boys not even play for a month.
No buys.
God
You're
help us if Cameron ever gets in charge of college football.
You're gonna have Alabama
playing
play
UNLV,
Miami of Ohio.
UNLV. Yeah.
By the time the third game rolls around, I mean, the coaches are going to have to play.
Jeez.
So I want to shorten the season. I want more teams in the playoffs, and I don't want conference championships anymore.
You know what?
So I want to break everything.
We gotta move past this. So tell us down in the comments how crazy Cameron is.
Yeah. We went so long, my little countdown clock disappeared. So that's our sign. We should move on. Question number 3. Josh Heupel of Tennessee said they're still going to play a spring game. 19 powerful schools have canceled their spring games and instead are doing like skill competitions or alumni games. And they're doing them for a variety of reasons. We can each get into that if we want. But do you guys think spring games are still important? Evan?
Yeah, I love Heupel. Obviously, huge Tennessee fan. No, these games are not that important anymore. These games are for the fans. If we're being really honest, it's an excuse to try and get the fans excited again to go back, see some college football. And the truth is, these teams really need to figure out a way to keep the fans engaged throughout the entire year with everything that they're trying to do with profit sharing from ticket sales and all the ways that they're paying the players. You got to figure out a way to keep the brand alive throughout the entire year. Spring games, they've been around for so long. Nobody really watches them anymore. They're barely televised. I don't think there's really a place for them anymore.
Yeah.
Could not disagree with Evan more. Um, there are a lot of fans out there that can't afford to go to these expensive games when Alabama plays LSU, when Alabama plays Tennessee, when Ohio State plays Michigan, et cetera, et cetera. These fans want to see their teams that they love. And for whatever reason, it may be outside of what their finances are able to get them into a game for. When you go to Tuscaloosa, when you go to the big house, when you go to one of these big schools to go see your team, for a lot of cases, it is your lone opportunity to get to see that. I think it is such a shame for these schools to selfishly cancel these games. These players aren't going 10 tenths in these games. It's not the injuries, and quite frankly, it's not even the tape. When you go to these things, these players aren't, showing that much off, and the coaching staff isn't
Base
either.
offense and base defense, pretty much,
Correct.
right?
I think it's an excellent opportunity for these different fans to really get to go and see the teams that they love to watch.
So you're kind of on the same page as me then. It's for the fans. It's not for what the
It's
game's
never been, it's never, look, the players aren't on the field for the players. They're there to make money because the fans pay for it.
Yeah, I honestly agree with Cam here. I think of the community benefits of playing a spring game. You have that one dead weekend in the middle of the spring when basketball's over. Baseball's still going on, but you're not in the postseason yet. That's a weekend when businesses, they see a boom. You have fans come in, and who's paying $300 to go sit in the nosebleeds for one of those big games in the fall when you can spend $5 and go with your family and leave at halftime? I totally agree. Spring games are
It's
important.
free.
Yeah, honestly, spring games are important. And, Matt Rule said that teams are scouting their players for the transfer portal. None of the scouting. Honestly, that is such a loser mentality
yeah,
because
that's
Matt Rule should be sending his scouts to other teams' spring games and doing the same. And these, like we said, these teams are playing base offense and base defense. And when the NCAA gets rid of that second transfer portal, because remember we talked earlier in the year, the coaches voted for one transfer portal. It's gonna stop players transferring. You're not gonna have that issue anymore. If that happens, it may not happen. And I also think NIL rules and like pay for play rules, when they get more strict, you're gonna see less players transfer. Keep the spring games. Fans love them. You don't have to watch it on TV, but it's something to talk about, right? Like at the end of the day, we love college football because it's something to talk about. Yeah,
yeah.
simple enough.
Now, one thing I would love to say is I would love to see the numbers of how many people actually go to these spring games.
Yeah, I mean,
Evan and I are going to go to the Kennesaw State one.
Well, we're going to try and be their coach.
I do have one follow-up question on this. Is the spring game cancellation at all in part due to the Jim Harbaugh effect of him leaving Michigan? The reason that I ask is specifically for recording these games and being able to look at tape. I personally don't believe that there is that much good that actually comes from these games as far as showcasing anything beyond just raw talent. You're not going to be running crazy routes or anything, to try and exemplify what your offensive playbook looks like.
yeah,
But I could see an argument the other way. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with that. Let's be honest, the coaches, they're not pulling out all their trick plays. If they are, it's one that for a fact they're never going to try unless it's against some, FCS school. It's really just for pure fan enjoyment. There's not a whole lot else that comes out of it.
The only excuse I see to not play it is if you have a really, really veteran team. And what's his name? The coach at Arizona State actually had this excuse. He said, "We have a we have a really veteran team. We don't need to play the spring game." If you go deep into the playoffs and you have a really veteran team, that's really the only reason I can say, okay, don't play it. But honestly, even in that case, let the young guys play. So, guys, that's 3 for 3, settle for three. And why don't you take us home?
If you like this show, please like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your feedback. Tell us why you believe I'm crazy. Tell us why Evan is wrong as a Tennessee fan to just do everything with college football. And tell us why Joey is fantastic. We'd love to hear it.